Left heading 090, descend to altitude 3000 feet 1012, speed 200 knots, KLM 513.
Left heading 195, descend to altitude 3000 feet 1012, reducing 180, Black Sea 9608.
Right heading 070, descend to altitude 3000 feet 1012, reducing 200, KLM 701. Roger, KLM 923. Heading 090, descend to altitude 3000, 1012, reducing 200, KLM 923. Climb to level 130, speed 250, Alpine 57 Zulu. Left heading north, KLM 701. Increase 200 knots, Alpine 57 Zulu. KLM 790 Alpha, with Delta. Left heading 085, descend to altitude 3000 feet 1012, speed 200, KLM 790 Alpha.
Black Sea 9608, we are about to cross the localizer of runway 27. Right 265 to intercept, cleared ILS, Black Sea 9608.
12385, Alpine 57 Zulu. KLM 631. Descend to altitude 3000, 1012, reduce 200 knots, and confirm heading 225, KLM 631. Heading 225, descend altitude 3000 feet 1012, speed 200, KLM 631. Climb flight level 130, speed 240, Nor Shuttle 14 X-ray. Speed 180 knots, KLM 701.
KLM 520, passing 2000, Nika. Speed 240, and say again the flight level, KLM 520. Approach, Transavia 7 Bravo. Left heading 005, descend to altitude 3000 feet, 1012, speed 200, Transavia 7 Bravo. Climb to flight level 130, increase 200 knots, KLM 520. Black Sea 9608, established 27. 11923, Black Sea 9608. KLM 520, we have a problem, and we need to return to Schiphol. Leveling off at flight level 65. Confirm heading 345, KLM 520. KLM 520. Pan, KLM 520, we have an engine failure. Roger, KLM 520.
Nor Shuttle 14 X-ray, switching to Amsterdam radar. KLM 631, confirm that we are cleared approach runway 27. Right 265 to intercept, cleared Israeli Shekel, KLM 631. Right heading 145, KLM 513. Right 125, KLM 923. Heading 095, KLM 790 Alpha. Say again the heading, KLM 701.
Heading 360, descend to altitude 3000 feet, 1012, reduce 200 knots, KLM 520.
Heading 110, KLM 701.
JetBlue 437, passing 1500 and departure. Climb level 130, speed 200, JetBlue 437.
Speed 200, KLM 701.
Left 320, KLM 520.
Right 175, KLM 513. Heading 295, descend to altitude 3000 feet 1012, reduce 200 knots, Transavia 41 Charlie.
KLM 520, we're ready for approach. Roger. JetBlue 437, request higher speed. Right 020, KLM 520. Speed 230 knots, JetBlue 437.
KLM 631, fully established. Tower on 11923, thank you, KLM 631. KLM 513, we're approaching the localizer of runway 27. Right heading 265, cleared Israeli Shekel, KLM 513. Right 170, KLM 923. Right heading 160, KLM 790 Alpha.
JetBlue 437, bye.
Left 085, KLM 701.
Heading 130, KLM 520.
Heading 300, Transavia 41 Charlie. KLM 513, established Israeli Shekel 27. 119.23, bye-bye, KLM 513. KLM 923, approaching the localizer of runway 27. Right heading 265, cleared approach, KLM 923. Climb to flight level 130, speed 240, Connie 6804. Heading 300, descend to level 45, reducing 200, challenge cargo 764. Right 140, KLM 701. Heading 155, KLM 790 Alpha. Approach, KLM 11 Kilo Heavy. Heading 235, and confirm cleared approach, KLM 790 Alpha. Heading 085, descend to altitude 3000 feet 1012, reducing 200, KLM 11 Kilo.
Heading 095, Transavia 7 Bravo.
Left 215, Transavia 41 Charlie. KLM 790 Alpha. Transavia 685. Heading 355, descend to altitude 3000, 1012, speed 200, Transavia 685. KLM 923, established Israeli shekel 27. 119.23, bye-bye, KLM 923. Heading 165, KLM 701. Connie 6804, bye. Left 180, Transavia 41 Charlie.
Speed 170, Transavia 7 Bravo.
Speed 170 knots, KLM 11 kilo. Right heading 310, descend to altitude 3000 feet, 1012, speed 200 knots, KLM 340. Nippon Cargo 86 Heavy, passing 1800 on the Andic departure. Climb to flight level 130, speed 250 knots, Nippon Cargo 86. Right heading 270, cleared Israeli shekel, KLM 701. KLM 790 Alpha, established 27. 11923, KLM 790 Alpha.
Heading 140, KLM 520.
Left heading 130, Transavia 41 Charlie.
Heading 145, KLM 520.
KLM 660, passing 1700 climbing to flight level 60, Andic departure. Climb 130, speed 210, KLM 660. High speed approved, Nippon Cargo 86.
Heading 190, KLM 520.
Roger, vectors runway 27, KLM 368. Heading 310, descend to altitude 3000 feet, QNH 1012, reduce 200 knots, KLM 368. Descend to altitude 3000 feet, 1012, and say again the heading, Challenge Cargo 764. Heading 245, Challenge Cargo 764. Transavia 53 X-ray to Rotterdam.
Heading 245, cleared approach 27, KLM 520.
Descend flight level 70, Transavia 53 X-ray. KLM 701, established Israeli shekel 27. 19230, KLM 701. Nippon Cargo 86, good night. Heading 175, Transavia 41 Charlie.
Right heading 160, Transavia 7 Bravo.
KLM 660, switching to Amsterdam radar. Right heading 120, KLM 11 kilo. Right 090, Transavia 685. Heading 070, Transavia 685. KLM 340, we are about to leave the airspace. Left heading 265, KLM 340. Climb to flight level 130, high speed approved, KLM 29er uniform. Climb to flight level 130, speed 220, KLM 29er uniform. Heading 195, Transavia 41 Charlie. Left heading 130, Challenge Cargo 764. Transavia 41 Charlie, approaching the localizer of runway 27. Heading 265, cleared Israeli shekel, Transavia 41 Charlie.
KLM 520, established 27. 119.23, KLM 520.
Hello, Martinier 50 Foxtrot Heavy, out of 17 climbing level 60, LECO departure. Climb to flight level 130, speed 230, Martinier 50 Foxtrot. Approach, Korean Air 9er 2 Heavy, with you. Heading 315, descend to altitude 3000 feet, 1012, reducing 200, Korean Air 9er 2. Left heading 275, KLM 368. Right 080, Transavia 685. KLM 29er uniform, bye. Transavia 41 Charlie, established.
Heading 140, Transavia 7 Bravo.
119er 230, Transavia 41 Charlie. Increasing 240, Martinier 50 Fox. Gold Transport 5 Golf, inbound Schiphol. Heading 080, descend to altitude 3000, QNH 1012, reducing 200, Gold Transport 5 Golf. Enter a hold at Papa Alpha Mike, Transavia 53 X-ray. Right heading 205, Transavia 53 X-ray.
Good evening, World Express 54 Heavy, passing 2000 climbing to flight level 60, Lunix. Increasing 200, Transavia 7 Bravo.
Confirm speed 200, KLM 11 kilo. Heading 135, increasing 200, KLM 11 kilo. 130 degrees, KLM 340. Right 125, Transavia 685. Heading 265, KLM 368.
Climb to level 130, speed 210 knots, World Express 54.
Martinier 50 Foxtrot, bye. Good evening, Midland 43 Alpha, from Rotterdam, climbing 3000, Andic departure. Climb level 130, speed 220 knots, Midland 43 Alpha.
Confirm heading 170, Transavia 7 Bravo.